We're constantly bombarded with inspirational advice. Follow your passion. Just leap, and the net will appear. Or if you build it, they will come. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? But what if the one piece of advice everyone repeats, the one that sounds the most profound, is actually a disaster waiting to happen? For me, it wasn't just bad advice. It was the advice that led to 3 years of struggle, massive debt, and a business failure that almost made me quit everything. The advice, it was this: always bet on yourself, no matter the cost. I followed it literally, and it was a catastrophe. But here's the twist. If I hadn't taken that awful advice, I wouldn't have been forced into the ingenious corner that created my real success. By the end of this story, you'll know how to tell the difference between inspiring words and dangerous traps. The context was my first serious venture, a high-end, niche product. Let's call it the custom-built dream machine. I had a tiny bit of savings, a few months of runway, and exactly 0 customers. But I had the advice. Some motivational speaker I watched convinced me that to signal confidence, you have to invest everything. Following that bet on yourself creed, I didn't test the market. I didn't start small. I went all in. I rented a massive office to floors, glass walls because successful people have successful spaces. I hired 3 expensive, unnecessary staff because you have to build a team before the demand. I bought the most expensive equipment because quality signals commitment. My logic was simple. If I make the bet big enough, I have to succeed. I've burned the bridges. There is no turning back. That's what the advice taught me. The problem: burning bridges doesn't generate sales. It just creates urgency for a sale that might never come. The next 18 months were a slow-motion car crash. The overhead was crippling. We had great equipment, a fancy office, and 0 clients. I was spending over $5,000 a month just to keep the lights on, not including salaries. We had the successful infrastructure, but no income to justify it. Every day was a panic attack disguised as an entrepreneur's journey. The advice was a trap. It convinced me that confidence was the only ingredient needed. It ignored the crucial steps of market validation, starting lean and understanding cash flow. I wasn't betting on myself. I was betting on a fantasy of success. Will it be dead? The worst moment was having to let my small team go. Not because they were bad, but because my ego, fueled by that terrible advice, bankrupted the company before it could even breathe. I was forced to close the beautiful office, sell the expensive equipment for pennies on the dollar, and was left with nothing but a massive amount of debt. I was ready to quit, but here's where the story turns. I had no money, but I still had the core skill and the lesson from my failure. I realized the bad advice, bet everything had a hidden kernel of truth. I actually did believe in the core idea, just not the execution. I had to keep going, but with a $0 budget, my new rule became the complete opposite of the bad advice. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. And since I couldn't afford to lose anything, I had to build it for free. I scrapped the fancy office and started working directly with clients online. I created a minimum viable product using free software. I stopped focusing on signaling success and started focusing on solving problems and getting paid first. This forced me to be innovative. I learned how to sell before I even had a product, how to deliver value cheaply, and how to scale organically based only on customer demand, not on borrowed money. That failure wasn't just a detour. It was a $70,000 education. The worst advice I ever took, to bet everything, forced me into a position where I had to learn how to bet nothing. And that restraint was the true foundation of my success. I rose not because of the bet, but because I survived the disastrous fallout and learned the real rules. So, what's the lesson here? Inspiration is great, but don't confuse it with strategy. Advice like always bet on yourself is motivation, not a business plan. True confidence isn't shown by how much money you spend, but by your ability to execute and adapt with minimal resources. My rise was built on scrappiness, not blind risk. Don't leap off a cliff hoping a net appears. Build the parachute first. Start small, validate everything, and save your big bets for when the odds are stacked in your favor, not just when your spirit is high. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. What is the worst advice you've ever taken? And don't forget to subscribe for more honest stories like this one. Thanks for watching.